Chair recognizes the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Chabot, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rosenstein, I had a telephone town hall meeting last night with people back home. That's where people get to ask us questions. We try to respond to them to the best of our ability, and quite a few people participated. And here's what one lady asked me. Congressman Chabot, what's your reaction to the Inspector General's report? And how do you feel about the bias to exonerate Hillary Clinton by the DOJ? And where do you stand on holding Rosenstein in contempt for withholding documents? You're getting pretty famous. What I see out there and I hear out there among a significant portion of the American public, including that lady who asked me that question last night, is a great deal of skepticism, of mistrust of their own government, particularly mistrust of high-level people within the Justice Department. I really think that's a shame. But I guess it shouldn't be surprising, not when you consider what they've seen from their own government in recent years. Now, I happen to represent the city of Cincinnati and some other areas surrounding that area, and we have an IRS facility there. And in that facility, likely at the direction of higher-ups in this city, Washington, they were targeting conservative groups for special harassment and ignoring liberal groups. And the President of the United States, Barack Obama, who was supposed to ensure that investigations of such matters were handled fairly and without bias, instead went on TV and gave his opinion and probably gave a signal to all the investigators under him that there was not even a smidgen of corruption. That was a quote from the President at the time, not even a smidgen of corruption. And the person who headed up that improper targeting, Lois Lerner, not only took the Fifth and refused to testify, but she was found in contempt by this body, by the United States House of Representatives, with no consequences. No wonder many Americans are skeptical. They've seen an investigation of one presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton, that was supposed to be unbiased, but the proverbial thumb was on the scale to her benefit. She sets up an illegal email server and swears she never sent classified emails, but she did, and gets a pass. FBI Director Comey, who's supposed to be unbiased, drafts a statement exonerating her before he's even interviewed her. Hillary's staff gets immunity deals that smell to high heavens. Hillary's operatives use hammers and bleach bit to destroy sought-after cell phones and emails, again, with no consequences, and on and on. But the other presidential candidate, the one who actually won but wasn't supposed to, well, he's treated very differently. A team of supposedly unbiased investigators turns out to be anything but. 9 out of the 16 have made political contributions, almost all to Democrats, including Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. None gave to Trump. And 2 of them, as we've heard over and over again today, were communicating back and forth about how they were going to stop candidate Trump from being elected, and even had a so-called insurance policy, a pretty sinister sounding thing, to make damn sure he wasn't elected. So my question to you, Mr. Rosenstein, is this. Do you see why that lady last night might believe there's bias in the Justice Department and how these investigations, when you compare one to the other, have been carried out?
Yes, sir, and I share your concern. As you know, I wasn't the one running the investigation in 2017. I absolutely share your concern. I understand that. And I think one of the challenges that we face, and Director Wray and I are very familiar with this challenge, is that the culture of the Justice Department in which we operate, and there are exceptions, obviously, but the culture in which we operate is one in which we make a conscious effort not to consider partisan issues. In fact, the way I've run my offices, I've been a manager in the Justice Department in a number of different capacities at this point for about 16 years or so. I've been very attuned to this issue.
Let me stop
and
there.
I make every effort, Congressman.
I'm running out of time. My time's very short at this point. I appreciate that you weren't there. You are now, so we appreciate your cooperation, appreciate your hard work. So let me just conclude with this. The American people, like that lady last night who asked that question on my telephone town hall meeting, and of course she felt that there was bias by the DOJ investigation, clearly by the way she asked it. I think the American people deserve a whole lot better than what they've been getting from their Justice Department of late. They have a right to unbiased, fair investigations. They have a right to expect equal treatment and equal justice, whether a person that they're investigating is a Democrat or a Republican, whether they're conservative or liberal, whether they were expected to win an election or not, whether their name happened to be Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. And I'm afraid that's not what happened here. And I yield back.
Congressman, as I was saying, I do share your concern. One of the challenges that we face, sir, is that we operate in an environment where in our interactions in the office, we make every effort to avoid any references to politics, and where we focus on the facts and the law, and we consider all the evidence before we reach conclusions. American people are getting their information from other sources, and they don't always hear both sides. And I think it's important, sir, this gives me and Director Wray an opportunity to explain the way that we're running our organizations. There are going to be mistakes, but I think the assurance of the American people comes in our commitment to follow the rules. There were violations of the rules, I recognize that. We're making every effort to make sure that doesn't happen on our watch. With 115,000 employees, we're going to have issues as well, but I can assure you that we're going to deal with them appropriately. And with regard to my commitment, Congressman, the Attorney General has been very clear about his desire to ensure that the department follows regular order, that we follow these traditional rules and practices. And if we adhere to these rules, there will sometimes be skeptical questions because we're not able to respond publicly to criticism. But at the end of the day, Congressman, I can assure you the cases that are brought on our watch are going to be in compliance with the rules. And so I hope that over time, seeing us follow the rules, the American people will regain whatever confidence they've lost. Because as Director Wray said, these folks we work with day in and day out, they are almost all there to do the right thing. And to the extent that they're not, we'll hold them accountable.
Thank you. I yield back.